Warhammer has been a bit gloomy recently, and I think we need to bring it a bit of Christmas cheer. So I decided to convert and paint these three Santa's Little Helpers, and I'm going to show you how to do it so you can bring some cheer to your mini Christmas. Now, I will warn you, there is a bit of work involved in bringing the cheer. You'll have to trust the process and keep going until everything starts to become Christmassy. All right, let's get started. The first thing is some simple green stuffing to convert these three cave monsters into Santa's Little Helpers. On Mushy the Mushroom, I rolled some green stuff into a cone and stuck it on his face to make his carrot. And I took some small dried cubes of green stuff, cut them into smaller cubes and superglued them into a pile of presents. On Rudy the Bat, I rolled a little bit of green stuff into a ball and stuck it on his nose horn. I snaked a snake of green stuff up around the rock and sliced it with my knife to make some tinsel. And I made another pile of presents for him as well. On Rocky the Rock, I rolled a piece of green stuff into a cone and stuck it on his head and folded it back to make his Santa's hat. Then I took a little rope of green stuff and rolled it around the rim to make the little fluffy white part. Now let's talk about colors. It's always hard to figure out what colors to pick. So instead of thinking, I'm going to blindly follow something I found on the internet. What it said was 4 equally split colors on the color wheel are supposed to look good. Now red and green are a given for Christmas, so that means my other 2 main colors are going to be orange and purple. With the colors chosen, let's get started with the arse phase of the painting, aka doing all the base coating. After repriming the minis, I decided to base coat all the ground and rock sections with a dark, desaturated purple made from a mix of Army Painter's ultramarine blue, wasteland soil, and a rando black airbrush paint. For Mushy's main stem and the stem of all the little mushrooms, I am base coating them with Army Painter Castle Grey. I base coated all the red areas like Mushy's cap, Rudy's nose, Rocky's hat, half the mushroom caps, and half the presents with a mixture of Army Painter Pure Red and my rando black airbrush paint. For the trim of Rocky's hat, I decided to use Army Painter Matte White with a little bit of my trusty rando black airbrush paint mixed in to form the grey base coat color. Now for the green base coat color, I chose to use Army Painter Angel Green. I used that on all of Rudy's skin, half the mushroom caps, and half of the presents. Now we are onto our last primary color, orange. For my base coat, I mixed some Army Painter Lava Orange with my old faithful rando black airbrush paint. I used it on Rudy's tongue, teeth, eyes, and spine, on Mushy's nose and eyes, on Rudy's tongue, and on all the skulls on the ground. For Mushy's smoke explosion, I base coated it with a few layers of Army Painter Demonic Yellow. And for the final step of the arse phase, I base coated the tinsel around Rudy's rock with Citadel's Balthazar Gold. After all this work, we can see Rudy, Rocky, and Mushy all look kinda meh. But I have trust in the process, so I'm going to keep going and pray they come good. Let's get started with the highlighting, which is hopefully going to be the awesome phase of the paint job. The first highlight I'm putting on is a straight mix of Army Painter Ultramarine Blue and Wasteland Soil. I applied it to all the raised ridges of the rocks that make up the floor of all 3 models, and on Rudy's rock, and of course, the big man himself, Rocky. To make Rocky's teeth even sharper, I mixed some Citadel Pink Horror into my purple color and brightened those teeth up further. On Mushy, I mixed Army Painter Matte White into the Castle Grey to create a highlight layer for his stem. Okay, now the greens. This is where the magic starts. I'm using Army Painter Green Skin as my green highlight color. This will go on the tops of the green presents and the green mushroom caps, but more importantly, it will go on the top of Rudy. With Rudy, I've applied several layers to really get that vibrant green there, and I paid close attention to all the folds of his face to give them lots of contrast. Next, I slapped on some straight matte white onto the trim of Rocky's hat to bring that up from its sad grey color. You've probably noticed that I'm pretty much doing zero blending, and that is because I don't think I'll really need to. With these vibrant colors, they're going to pop from a distance, and I'm hoping the contrast is what everyone will notice and not the lack of blends. Onto the lava orange to spice things up. I'm using this on all the orange parts and paying special attention to Rocky's tongue, Mushy's nose, and Rudy's tongue, teeth, and spine. Now let's do Mushy's explosion cloud. I've dry brushed on some lava orange first without fully covering the yellow. Then I dry brushed on some pure red, covering a little bit less again. And then finally, I dry brushed on some Abaddon black just on the smoke at the top of the explosion. For the tinsel wrapped around Rudy's rock, I have highlighted it up with Gehenna's gold. Then I dotted on some Runefang steel all over to give the tinsel a bit of variation in color. Onto the final primary color. Let's do that red. And my weapon of choice is Army Painter Pure Red. We have Rocky's hat, Rudy's nose, Mushy's cap, the caps of half the mushrooms, and half the presents to hit with the red. I really went over the key areas on Mushy's cap, Rudy's nose, and Rocky's hat with several layers to make them a really vibrant red. And to tie a bow on this little project, I have free-handed little ribbons of Runefang steel onto all the presents. And here we are, 3 Santa's Little Helpers done and dusted. These were a whole bunch of fun to paint. It's really cool doing the vibrant colors, which is a bit different from normal GW minis. They're bringing me the Christmas cheer already, and I hope this video has given you some Christmas cheer as well. If it has, give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what you're gonna paint for Christmas.